Guys, we have had so many layoffs in 2024 and even last year that you start to just become numb to it. You see this company and that company cutting workers, 8% workforce gone here, entire departments completely wiped out. If you're a game developer, then these are scary times. And this video is not gonna make anything better. I mainly wanted to consolidate everything that has happened over the past year and then ask the question, why? Why are we seeing all of these layoffs? Some say it's because studios overhired during COVID. Others say it's because the live gaming service bubble has popped. But what's so strange about this is that this goes even outside of just your game development studios. So let's just rewind for a second and let me take you back to January 2023. Unity, the game engine company, actually conducted its first round of layoffs, resulting in 300 employees being let go. Now, what was their reason? Overlap. Ah, yes, good old overlap. Then a few days later, Microsoft laid off a whopping 10,000 employees. Good God. And this included everybody from 343, Bethesda, Coalition. Now, I don't know what the split was, and this definitely didn't just target those studios. It was a lot of different people and a lot of different departments. 343, for instance, though, lost 95 people. By the way, I know this has nothing to do with it, but Halo Infinite is actually popping right now. Maybe not on the Steam charts, but the game is really fun. I jumped back in the other day with some friends, and they brought back all the OG maps. Dude, I felt like I was a kid again. Then in 2023, we had EA shutting down its mobile game studio with the cancellation to mobile games like Apex Legends and Battlefield. This saw a loss of about 150 game devs. Now, personally, guys, I'm not crazy about mobile games. Look, don't get me wrong, I'll play some internet chess, but when it comes to like first-person shooters, hell no. Now, this also snowballed into another set of layoffs from EA in February 2023, where they got rid of 200 QA contractors who, get this, were based in Louisiana. Dude, I lived in Louisiana my whole life, and I had no idea that we had an EA studio? What? Now, before somebody jumps up and says, but Cross, QA is not really a game developer. Stop. QA is, in fact, a real game developer. So please quit saying that. It just sounds ignorant. Now, as we move into the third month of the year, EA once again hit another set of layoffs, which includes 775 employees, or roughly 6% of their workforce. Now, what was the cause for this? A restructuring and, quote, a review of their real estate footprints. Now, don't worry, they immediately followed up and said that they were going to actually be revamping Anthem with all the money that they would be saving throughout this cutting process. I'm just kidding, guys. That's a lie. Anthem is still dead. Now, to continue the streak of layoffs, Amazon last year in April laid off 100 developers after, quote, evaluating our current projects against our long-term goals. Ah, yes. Nothing like reflection time. Keep in mind, this was also around the same time Amazon had let go of 9,000 employees. But then we started to see smaller layoffs hit, little trickles here and there. Paradox Interactive would go on and let go of 36 employees, with CyberConnect letting go of 55. Again, we get really caught up on the big companies, the big studios. The small studios, they had their layoffs as well. This involved many indie studios too. Moving on to May, Unity, back again, baby. It's not about to lose in this competition. It let go of 600 employees. Now, this time it was for, quote, restructuring of specific teams in order to continue to position itself for long-term and profitable growth. Now, don't worry, we'll be back to talk about Unity in just a moment. Now, just after that, Sony began reevaluating their own current projects, and we saw closures of Pixel Opus and layoffs from Final Strike Games, as well as Deviation Games, which resulted in 140 employees let go. Now, a few weeks later, Sega-owned Relic Games, devs behind Company of Heroes, saw a layoff of 121 employees. Now, this decision was made by Sega themselves, pinning the cause under, quote, redundancies. This is such a good Sunday video, right? Are you enjoying this? What a lovely topic, Cross. Now, in June, Niantic, the Pokemon Go devs, closed their office in LA, leading to a loss of 230 positions. Now, this closure was seemingly done as Niantic said that they were reprioritizing Pokemon Go to become, quote, a forever game. What does that mean? Forever, but not forever ever? Obviously not for those 230. Moving on to July's layoffs, we had Activision and Blizzard cutting 50 employees from their esport departments. One of the affected likened it to, quote, gutting of the esport division. This game before Overwatch League was officially ended in November. Shortly after this, we had CD Projekt Red, the creators of Cyberpunk 2077 and the Witcher series, which saw a layoff of around 100 people, or 9% of their entire workforce. CEO Adam Kaczynski simply said, quote, they were overstaffed. The next big layoff came from EA and BioWare in August. This saw the forced departure of 50 employees thanks to a, quote, reorganization effort. Including EA's previous layoffs, this newest layoff brought their total to 1,175 employees for the year. Dude, like EA and Unity, man, they're like going neck and neck. They're like, which one of us is going to be in the news more? Now, after this came the shutdown of Volition, the studio behind the Saints Row games. The shutdown resulted in 183 lost jobs, and this was caused by a very poor performing Saints Row reboot, as well as much larger layoffs from their parent company, Embracer Group. Now, we're not going to name off every layoff attributed with within Bracer Group. Just know that the company and its subsidiaries will see layoffs from that point all the way into 2024. And it actually made up about 50% of all European layoffs in 2023. Now, next large layoff came in September from Fortnite, as well as Unreal Engine's Epic Games. This was a massive departure of 830 total employees. This meant that 16% of Epic's entire workforce was laid off. That's huge, guys. Epic CEO mentioned, quote, layoffs were the only way to achieve financial stability. But they were sweating bullets, looking at Fortnite skins and thinking, which one do we do? Another skin or layoffs? Now, after Epic's big layoff wave, the next largest hit is close. At the end of October, Sony-owned Bungie laid off 8% of their workforce, totaling around 100 employees lost. Now, we've spoke about this plenty. This is a perfect reminder that each and every one of these numbers that we're throwing out here, these are real people. Now, I know some of you are like, but Cross, layoffs is normal. This is just corporate America. Look, I'm not saying that layoffs don't happen. Fellas, you think I'm new to this? I remember 08, 09. I remember the blue collar field in 2010 and 2011. Dude, times were rough. But the reason why we're bringing up all these numbers right now is to ask that question, why? Now, following those waves of layoffs from Bungie, we also see Ubisoft that proceeded to cut from their Canadian studios. This amounted to about 130 employees let go. Right after that, we have Amazon Games with their second layoff for 2023. This time, 180 employees were affected. And again, attributed to further restructuring. Amazon Games Vice Principal Christoph Hartman even went as far as to say that their initial restructuring layoffs in April wasn't enough. And hopefully, 280 total employees would be. Now, the last set of layoffs for 2023, poetically, was Unity yet again. In late November, they decided not only to start 2023 off with layoffs, but also end the year with more, this time cutting 265 employees. Reason? Quote, company reset. Ah, yes, we've gone from restructuring to reset. Keep in mind, this comes after a catastrophic year for Unity, considering their whole runtime fee and how that blew up in their face. Now listen, that was 2023. Surely 2024 can't be any worse. Unfortunately, it does get worse. Starting in January, Unity back again this time, taking first place not only for 2023, but also 2024, this time cutting 1,800 people. And this is roughly 25% of their workforce. Again, under the continuation of company resets, this has been the last of their layoffs to date, but my God, that is a lot of people. Over the past year, Unity has cut 2,965 people. Then we have Riot, the creators of League of Legends and Valorant, which saw a layoff of 530 employees. This is 11% of their workforce. Riot CEO Dylan Jadeja took responsibility for the layoffs, but attributed them to Riot having too many projects underway. Then right after that, we have newly Microsoft-owned Activision Blizzard, which held the largest layoff wave within the gaming industry over the past year, even surpassing Unity's 1,800. This layoff affected 1,900 individuals. Now, this comes after Activision Blizzard was successfully acquired by Microsoft. Reason? Quote, identifies overlap. Now, I think logically we all saw that coming, even though Microsoft and Activision try to say that it wasn't. Now, until late February, Sony-owned PlayStation returns with more layoffs, this time cutting 900 employees. And this hit a variety of studios, including Insomniac Games, Naughty Dog, Guerrilla Games, and Firesprite, under the reason of, quote, focus on the long-term sustainability of PlayStation studios. Now, keep in mind, this is also coming after Sony has said things about Bungie and about live games, and them essentially having to pull back on these live games because the profitability is just not there. Now, lastly, the most recent set of layoffs at the time of us making this video, which marks the fourth round of layoffs. This time, EA has laid off 5% of its total workforce, which amounts to 670 employees. Again, under the reason of restructuring within EA. Guys, the reason why this is so crazy is that we're only in March, and we already have 7,800 employees that have been laid off. Things are not slowing down. They're speeding up. Folks are getting laid off more and more. And we have to ask that question, why? Again, most people will say it's because of the COVID bubble, but 18,000 people were laid off across hundreds of studios, all within reasons like sustainability, restructuring, or in Unity's case, resetting. And I know on the surface, this is all profit driven, but guys, 2023 was a hell of a year for games. And 2024 has started off extremely strong, unless you're a AAA studio, and then not so much. Now, one of the suggestions that we keep getting is that AI is what's replacing all of these jobs. Now, I'm not gonna go out and say that AI replaced all 18,000 people, but we have seen job listings where folks are being asked to have AI experience and to integrate it into their teams. And look, you can go and look at a variety of different apps on your phone right now and see that AI is playing a big role in monitoring the efficiency of teams, managing. So before we even get into like game development from AI, which I do think is gonna play a role, I think from a management perspective, AI is already being present. Did COVID present a bubble? Yeah, I mean, what the hell else were we doing that year? 2020 consisted of us just sitting around, hanging out, and playing video games. games. People had stimmies, folks were dropping money left and right on games, and especially live service games. But with that bubble that grew from 2020 to even 2021, I would have expected 2022 to have been the year where the restructuring would have occurred. But it is really odd to me that AI making the headway that is made over the past year has went hand in hand here with the layoffs that have been occurring in the tech sector, especially for game developers. And from my inner circles, AI has played a big role in just teams using different apps and different software to manage things. And with those teams becoming more and more efficient through the use of AI, and again, not AI outright replacing people, but assisting people, those teams are probably going to get leaner. Do I think layoffs are going to slow down for the year? I hope so. I really do, guys. I hope whatever restructuring, resetting, all of that has been achieved by these studios. But I do want to say this. Some of these companies have gotten too big for their own good. You've seen games like Skull and Bones, where years and years of development was spent and tons of money for what? And Suicide Squad with Warner Brothers. And even though I didn't necessarily hate Suicide Squad, I didn't think it was terrible, but it was a bold investment to go in that direction of a live service game, considering their past. 2024 has been the year of AAA studios being dominated by smaller studios. From Palworld and their success to Helldivers 2 right now. All I can say to my developers that have been let go, there is opportunity out there. Take the group of developers who made Last Epoch. Literally just a bunch of Redditors that was like, yeah, let's do this. And at the end of the day, if it's an amazing, fun, intriguing, unique game, you are gonna find people playing it. I promise. So for my developers that are rushing to go get a job at one of these big studios, I want you to really consider possibly getting on with a smaller studio. A studio that dreams big and puts making fun games first, way before figuring out how to profit. Fellas, I have found myself just enjoying indie games more here lately. I've recently played Dwarven Realms. It's $5 on Steam. It's the best $5 I ever spent. And this entire game was made by 2 developers. I hope to see studios of this caliber continue to survive and even thrive and make these fun, hysterical games. Guys, that is everything we have to say on this. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching. And as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.